The Denver Broncos have positioned themselves as one of the top AFC contenders this year through the halfway point of the 2025 NFL season. They currently sit with a 6-2 record and lead the AFC West for the first time in nearly a decade. This start has been fueled by their defense, headed by defensive coordinator Vance Joseph, who is one of the most aggressive coordinators in the NFL between his blitzes, while also having a ton of talent on that unit, whether it is Nick Bonito, who already has 8 sacks in the season for the team that's leading the NFL in sacks, or Defensive Player of the Year, Pat Surtain, who locks up the other team's best wide receiver on a weekly basis. But where this team has reached new heights is their offensive production over the last 5 quarters. This team has been unstoppable against the Giants and the Cowboys, and Bo Nix is finally starting to find his rhythm for the first time this season. If this team can play complementary football on both sides of the ball, they can beat any team in the NFL and might work their way to the Super Bowl this year. I want to dive into the film from their Week 8 game against the Dallas Cowboys and show how this Denver Broncos team can give every team a headache on a weekly basis. The Broncos started this game off right, and it was by establishing the run. When the Broncos have been able to run this ball this year, it has been able to set up their passing game with whatever Sean Payton's wanted to do, whether it's setting up screens, getting the ball out of Bo Nix's hands quick, or pushing the ball down the field. You're going to get a man concept here with a double team, right? And J.K. Dobbins is going to be able to work through here. Nothing too crazy here, but a 7-yard gain to open up the game kind of set the tone for what this Denver Broncos running game was going to be able to look like throughout the game, where they're going to establish their will. Right of the game, after Bo Nix made a mistake, right, they're going to be able to set up this quick pitch right here with a pulling guard out in front. And this Denver Broncos offensive line is going to give R.J. Harvey enough space that I could walk through, and they're going to find themselves in the end zone for a touchdown, right? The ground game, being able to produce chunk plays like this, is ultimately what allowed this passing game to stay consistent throughout the entire game. You're going to get a pulling guard here, you're going to get a down block, right? And you're going to get guards pulling up to the linebackers. And this offensive line has been really good the entire season run blocking, right? It's about getting these guys in space, these backs. And when you have a hole like this to go and run and shoot through as an NFL back, you're going to make a big time play. And that's going to completely open up the passing game. So if Sean Payton and this Denver Broncos team is going to continue to find success in this passing game, these run plays like this, whether it's J.K. Dobbins for 7 yards or R.J. Harvey over the top for 40 yards, are going to contribute in that. Incredibly impressed with what Sean Payton went to right here. A little bit of a play action concept with a flood to the strong side of Bo Nix, and he's able to find a wide open Pat Bryant, who had a monster game in this one. And I'll kind of show you guys what this concept does, especially to the linebacker position here, right? So these guys have just given up a 40-yard touchdown run. They're going to make sure that this ground game's secure, and while they're not significant parts of the plays, watch what these guys have to do in order to respect this. You have defensive end is respecting a read option between Bo Nix right here, right? You have a man concept with the running back going here. Both of these linebackers are frozen, and then you have a soft zone coverage here, deep defender, right? And then you have this guy between both flat receivers right here. So basically what you're going to have to decipher between, and this is where Bo Nix makes a great play here, and it's a great play call, is this defender chooses Evan Ingram, right? 20's caught in a spot where he has to choose this deep route, and then the safety somehow has to find a way to get over to that route. And it is just a win-win right now for the Denver Broncos and what that ground game set up. That right here, and this is something that I want to see Sean Payton do more often, is let this guy right here go and make plays, whether or not they have a lead or whether or not they are trailing in a game. And situations like this is where I think Bo Nix is really good. You look at the ball placement here on this deep pass to Pat Bryant. It is elite, right over the defender in the breadbasket. And this is with Pat Bryant, and the defender right here has an 8-yard cushion, and Pat Bryant is still able to work around him, which is just elite. And what Bo Nix does is he's able to find him right in here in the breadbasket for a touchdown, which is just great. Like, letting Bo Nix get these type of advantageous opportunities with the group of weapons they have out here, right? You got a running back out in coverage, right? You got Troy Franklin here, who's top 5 in the NFL in red zone targets. Evan Ingram is starting to come along as a threat. Cortland Sutton, we all know, is the big name receiver in this offense, but you also have a guy like Pat Bryant, who has shown signs of being really good. And then you have Marvin Mims, who's not even in the picture here, who's an explosive playmaker as well. Bo Nix has weapons, and plays like this where he can just go through and toss a ball up there in the breadbasket is exactly why Sean Payton needs to utilize that more often, and this is all set up by the ground game getting off to a hot start to start this game over the past few seasons. And while, yes, they have the Defensive Player of the Year in Pat Surtain, who can lock down any opposing receiver, they're going to be missing him over the next few weeks. I am not too worried, though, that this defense can match that production because they're good against the run, they're good against the pass, and they can rush the passer. And we're going to get into all three of those elements and how they shut down this Dallas Cowboys offense this past week. And it kind of starts with this ground game, and Brian Schottenheimer loves to run these plays right around his tackles right there, and likes to run a lot of gap schemes and inside zones. As you guys can see on this play, it's an inside zone, but what Denver does a great job of is they force him into an absolute roadblock right here. We'll take a look at the end zone view, and as you guys can see, we will go to motion right there, break it down right here, right? Javonte Williams is getting it here, right? He's following these linemen on an inside zone read. And what Denver does is their interior defensive line holds their positioning well. You have three linebackers here who determine where it is. And then you have the edge rushers here, right, who maintain good contain. Obviously, the offensive line is going to want to push those guys back and create holes. But what Denver does so well is their linebackers fill these holes well. And they also have interior defensive linemen that hold linemen at the line of scrimmage, making this easy. And what Javonte Williams is going to see is this clouds up, and he's going to have to find a way to cut. But the pushback from this Denver Broncos defense is just too much. And being able to stop the ground like this and what they can do in the pass is just elite defense on every level. What Vance Joseph has done is he's one of the highest rated blitzers in the NFL, and he also has some elite pass rushers at his disposal. You got Cooper out here, right? You got Zach Allen in here. You got Nick Bonito, all big numbers, but every single one of these guys, and it's Franklin Myers here who winds up getting the sack, can be a force and pressure. And what you're going to see is six guys up here. The Cowboys are going to try to chip. Here you have a running back there to block, and you're going to get all these guys, right, that are planning on rushing at this point, right? Obviously, this is a stacked formation and makes it really hard on a quarterback to know what's coming. What Denver does even better is they get stunts mixed in it, and they're able to get a ton of pressure on Dak Prescott. And what works well about this type of concept is you'll see here, right, the linebacker is going to go cross face here, right? Franklin Myers is going to stunt here. And what also helps is you have two elite edge rushers crashing it. That is every level of the pocket that you want to be able to collide. And you'll kind of see right there, outside, inside, and then you have another guy on the outside. So it's basically like every lane is covered. You have an elite pass rush, and it makes every single quarterback in the NFL, whether that's a guy playing like an MVP in Dak Prescott or a quarterback that's struggling, look like they have no options. Exactly what that pressure can do and how sticky this coverage in the secondary can be as well. As you guys can see, you have the linebackers who are going to walk up, right? Dak Prescott thinks something similar is coming to what we just showed you guys, right? But what Denver is going to do is they're going to sugar those blitzers. Those guys are going to move back into coverage. Now it's a forefront. Prescott sees this and is able to try to make an adjustment, but what Denver does so well is they lock up all these receivers. They're very good in man coverage, right? And they also play great zone coverage in general as well, right? And you watch this play, it's sticky coverage all around. Riley Moss gets a big-time tip ball, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, man, the penalties with Riley Moss, right? He's not as good as Pat Surtain. It's hard to match that production. He gets targeted more than anybody, and his passer rating is still incredibly low when targeted in coverage, and it's because of plays like this. These guys in the secondary, right, especially these guys back here, they can play as ball hawks knowing the fact that their pass rush is likely going to get home, and, right, these corners can be very aggressive on the routes that they're able to jump and make big-time plays that ultimately result in some big time interceptions for this team. Just play it through one more time and I'll kind of show you guys right here what else is really good about this, right? You get this pass rush here. It's obviously forcing a decision, but when they are playing a zone coverage and they get these type of exotic looks, right? You'll have a corner here, you have a corner here. You can roll a safety into the box, have a guy over the top and cover three, right? And have a lot of offenses who are trying to get quick routes covered as well. And that's where they've had a lot of success is teams have tried to force ways around, that pass rush that's been really elite for Denver by running these interior type routes, and it just hasn't been super successful. Nothing is very successful against this defense when you have this here and you have guys sugaring up from the safety position and making big time plays. The Denver defense is about as good as I've seen over the last decade on the defensive side of the ball. The film shows us this team has the coach, it has the quarterback, and it has the defense to compete with the best teams in the NFL. And they're definitely going to have a tougher task in the second half of the season in order for them to clinch this division and put themselves in a strong spot in the playoffs. They're going to get the Chiefs twice. They're also going to get the Packers. They're going to get the Commanders. They're going to get the Chargers once again. And they're going to get a Commanders team that will likely be more healthy when they see them in week 12. And this Denver Broncos team does have the talent to consistently find ways to win these tough games. And I think what's going to be the difference maker down the stretch for them is they have a lot of these games at home. The 5 of the 9 remaining games are at home, and they do have 3 primetime games, which should be awesome for this Denver Broncos team, who is finally getting the spotlight they deserve to play at a primetime spot. This team has an elite defense, and we all know defense wins championships, but if Bo Nix can continue to build on the momentum he's had in the last 5 quarters, this team can reach new heights in 2025, and Sean Payton just might be looking at another Super Bowl at the end of this year. Personally, for me, I think that I am going to go with the Chiefs to still win this division, but I think the Broncos might just be the 5 seed in the AFC this year with how good they have looked here. And I think potentially them and the Chiefs could find themselves in the playoffs once again playing each other, which will be a classic for sure. Drop your comment down below how you think this Denver Broncos season will finish. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and I will catch you guys next time.